Yo, live on the set. I'm your host, Brother Jeremiah with Real Talk Radio LLC. Where I talk.
It's always real. Very simple answer to one question. Do you hate all white people?
I don't think it's a fair question. The white man doesn't even come into my attitude. Mr. Muhammad teaches us to love our own kind and let the white man take care of himself. For a white man today, sir, after kidnapping millions of black people from Africa, stripping them of all human characteristics and relegating them to the role of chattel or animals, commodity, merchandise that could be bought and sold at will. And then 100 years since the Emancipation Proclamation, using every type of deceptive method to further us into slavery, called second-class citizenship, I think that it would take a whole lot of nerve for white people today to ask Negroes, do they hate them?
Can I have your name and badge number?
Well, come here.
My name is Gonsalves.
What's your name and badge number,
It's right
please?
there. Are you filming it?
I said passe to you.
Okay.
Could you please have your sergeant to come by, please?
I will.
The problem exists because white people think they're better than black people, and they want to oppress us, and they want us to allow ourselves to be oppressed. I can't solve the problem. You guys pull the strings that close schools. You guys draw the boundaries that keep our kids restricted to the ghetto. You guys write up the restrictive covenants that keep us out of houses. So it's up to you to talk to your brothers and your sisters and persuade them that they have a responsibility. We've assumed ours for over 400 years, and we're tired of this kind of stuff now. We're not going to suffer patiently anymore. No more turning the other cheek. No more blessing our enemies. No more praying for those who despitefully use us. We're going to show you that we've learned the lessons you've taught us. We've studied your history, and you did not take over this country by singing "We Shall Overcome." You did not gain control of the world like you have it now by dealing fairly with a man and keeping your word. You're treaty breakers, you're liars, you're thieves, you rape entire continents and races of people. Then you wonder why these very people don't have any confidence or trust in you. Your religion means nothing. Your law is a farce, and we see it every day. You demonstrated it, and you couldn't walk around and talk to people, stand up in your pulpit on Sunday and preach nice little songs and say, now we're going to give thanks to the Lord for he is good and old Jesus be among us. As far as we're concerned, your Jesus is contaminated, just like everything else you tried to force upon us is contaminated.
בוקר טוב. לאור הדיבורים שנשמעים לאחרונה בקהילה הבינלאומית על ניסיון לכפות על ישראל באופן חד-צדדי מדינה פלסטינית, אני מביא היום לאישור הממשלה החלטה הצהרתית בנושא הזה. אני בטוח שהיא תזכה להסכמה רחבה מאוד. הנה ההצהרה. ישראל דוחה על הסף תכתיבים בינלאומיים בעניין הסדר הקבע עם הפלסטינים. הסדר כזה יושג אך ורק במשא ומתן ישיר בין הצדדים, ללא תנאים מוקדמים. ישראל תוסיף להתנגד להכרה חד-צדדית במדינה פלסטינית. הכרה כזאת, בעקבות הטבח של ה-7 באוקטובר, תעניק פרס עצום לטרור, פרס שלא היה כדוגמתו, ותמנע כל הסדר עתידי לשלום. תודה רבה לכם.
Tonight I want to speak to you about total victory. Our security and the prospects of peace in the Middle East depend on one thing: total victory over Hamas. At the start of the war, I outlined 3 goals: destroy Hamas, free the hostages, and ensure that Gaza doesn't pose a threat to Israel anytime in the future. Achieving these goals will ensure Israel's security and pave the way for additional historic peace agreements with our Arab neighbors. But peace and security require total victory over Hamas. We cannot accept anything else. Can you imagine what will happen if we don't have total victory? Hamas leaders have already pledged they'll repeat the October 7th massacre over and over and over again. No nation can accept that. We certainly won't. Without total victory, Iran and its terror proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and others, will be emboldened to subvert moderate states in the Middle East. They'll threaten the entire free world. Only total victory will prevent that. And total victory is within our reach. Israel's military achievements are truly unprecedented. As John Spencer, head of urban warfare at West Point, noted, it took the United States and its allies 9 months to defeat ISIS in Mosul. Mosul is a single city, smaller than Gaza, doesn't have any terror tunnels, and it had only 5,000 terrorists. Yet in 4 months, the IDF has killed, wounded, or captured over 20,000 terrorists, more than half of Hamas's fighting force. We've shattered 18 out of 24 Hamas battalions, and we're mopping up the remaining terrorists with ongoing raids. Our soldiers are systematically destroying the massive underground terror tunnels. Hamas believed this was an impregnable network. Yet our brave soldiers are now physically inside these tunnels. They're demolishing rocket factories, weapon stockpiles, command and control centers, and what Hamas thought were unreachable safe houses. Now I have to tell you, we were repeatedly told by many in the international community that all this simply couldn't be done. They said that a ground offensive would not be effective, that we couldn't enter Gaza City because it would be an abominable death trap, that we couldn't go into the hospitals that served as Hamas headquarters without inflicting massive civilian casualties, and that we couldn't enter the underground terror tunnels because nobody could. Yet our brave soldiers proved them all wrong on all counts. Many also argued that Israel's military campaign would scuttle our ability to release the hostages. Well, they were wrong on this one too. Military pressure led to the release of 110 hostages, and only continued military pressure will bring home the remaining hostages. Our soldiers are now in Khan Yunis, Hamas's main stronghold. They'll soon go into Rafah, Hamas's last bastion. They will do so, as they've done up to now, by providing the civilian population safe passage to safe zones. And they'll do so in spite of Hamas's evil attempts to stop the civilians from leaving at gunpoint. Total victory over Hamas will not take years. It will take months. Victory is within reach. And when people talk about the day after, let's be clear about one thing. It's the day after all of Hamas is destroyed. Not half of Hamas, not 3/4 of Hamas, all of Hamas. And once Hamas is destroyed, we need to verify that Gaza is demilitarized, that we stamp out any attempt at the resurgence of terror. And history has shown that only Israel can do this, by having overriding security control over Gaza. What does that mean? It means that Israel will be in Gaza or act in Gaza at any place, at any time that is necessary to ensure that terrorism doesn't rear its ugly head again. Gaza must have a civilian administration staffed with those who do not support terrorism, fund terrorism, or indoctrinate their children with terrorism and the goal of destroying Israel. In fact, we should seek the very opposite, that school children in Gaza will be educated towards peace, that they'll be educated towards coexistence. Now, grant you, this will take time. But we've seen it happen in other parts of the world and in the Gulf states themselves. We would welcome the participation of moderate Arab states in creating a different and better future for Gaza. This would also require that UNRWA, which perpetuates the Palestinian refugee problem, whose schools indoctrinate Palestinian children with genocide and terror, and from whose ranks sprang a dozen terrorist murderers who participated in the October 7th massacre, this UNRWA must be replaced by responsible aid agencies. We're at a pivot of history where the region can go either in the direction of light or in the direction of darkness. We won't allow Iran's forces of darkness to win. Our security and the future of the Middle East require total victory. Total victory over Hamas can bring us additional gifts of peace. Our doctrine of peace through strength has already brought us the Abraham Accords. Total victory will help us bring more historical peace. Hamas is the obstacle blocking a better and more peaceful Middle East, and it's threatening Israel's security. The pressure of the world should be on destroying Hamas as quickly as possible, and not on preventing Israel from doing so. All those who yearn for peace should support our quest for total victory. Total victory for our security, total victory for peace in the region, total victory to secure our common future.
Fast forward on this point, the ultimate agenda that we are looking at, that this enemy is pushing, is depopulation. We have to get this through our mind. That way we can remove the emotion from it. Take the emotion out of it, look at it for what the purpose is. Just be logical about this. What type of government would encourage men being with men, women being with women, and remove the ability to procreate? What kind of government would inspire such a thought? Now, before anyone says, well, people who are same sex can still procreate. No, you can't. You cannot have sex and have a child. Right. Knock it off. I'm not talking about artificial insemination. I'm not talking about any of that. No. I'm talking about literally a woman cannot get another woman pregnant. A man cannot get a man pregnant. A man does not have a womb. Let's knock it off. Let's be serious about this. True. What kind of government would encourage such a thing? A government that wants to get rid of you, but wants to get rid of you in a way where you will accept it and where you will volunteer to do it yourself. They don't want these people on the planet no more. These people, I'm talking about 3 to 4 billion human beings on the planet, they don't want. According to the National Security Study Memorandum 200 under Dr. Henry Kissinger, the 32nd Secretary of State under President Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford, he stated, quote, depopulation should be the highest priority of U.S. foreign policy towards the third world, end quote. But they had 13 foreign countries that they listed and said, these are the countries that we are going to push for our same-sex policy adoption, same-sex ideology, same-sex everything. And they pushed it on all of those countries, and then they started pushing it here domestically as well. They want to get rid of over 3 to 4 billion human beings on the planet. That's
message. Yeah, and look, but look, there's a war coming.
Yeah.
There's a war coming. And in this war, it's going to be the righteous versus the evil. And as fucked up as we don't want to accept it, it's going to be a lot of us versus us. Now, in something like that, I'm cool with that. Because this is for the future survival of my children, of my community, of my people. You either got to get with that shit or get gone. So we can't act like the inevitable is not going to happen. You know, the more and more consciousness is rising. You know, brothers and sisters are speaking out. This is becoming a new rap shit. This conscious shit is becoming a new wave. Herbalists is popping up everywhere. Thought leaders, critical thinkers is popping up everywhere. You see little bitty Malcolm X's and Louis Farrakhan's running around this motherfucker rapping. So the more and more we raise this high energetic frequency, the more and more the low energetic thought forms is going to be thinking of ways to come back. This is spiritual warfare. So civil war is coming between the so-called black righteousness people and the so-called black evil people. It's coming. So for the ones that got their mind made up and can't get right, I'm just here to say this message. I have over 100,000 vegans that don't eat meat, that don't drink, that don't smoke, that read every day, that work out, that actually practice combat training, that know how to use a gun, that know how to use their mind. They dick is not their God, they belly is not their God. You don't want to fucking go to war with a nigga who know who they truly is. So get your mind right, or don't. You see what I'm saying? But the war is coming. The war is coming.
So you saying before dealing with anything else, we gotta, and I like that, we gotta deal with our whatever.
We have to deal with our own house before we deal with, and it's supposed to be like that anyway. Every community deal with themselves, but so-called Black America. When you look at the Jewish community, they have a Jewish police station, they have Jewish banks, they have Jewish priests. I mean, so this is what I was trying to say. Whenever you build any community, it has these 4 fundamental principles. Everyone have to have an education system, or what you would call a school. Everybody have to have a hospital, or what you would call a healing mechanism. You see what I'm saying? Everybody else will have to have economics, meaning you have to have your own bank. And then last but not least, food and water. Do we own our food and water? No, we don't. Half of us is just now getting into black farming. So we need to learn how to grow our own food. We need to learn how to siphon our own water from the geo depths of the earth. We need to learn how to build our own education institutes. We need to learn how to use money, or use a way of exchange. Because money ain't even really the way of exchange. We can do barter and trading. If I'm growing 100,000 apples and you growing 100 potatoes, where do we need money at? Let's make an exchange. So, and that's why education is so important. These are things that we need to start putting back in the community before we can get our identity back. The problem is, bruh, we don't know who we are. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we are. We don't know what we are. We don't know why we are. And we don't know when we are. When we start answering those questions, it's going to make us not only look at ourselves different when we look at our reflections, but it's going to make me look at you and you different. The love is different. Me knowing that I'm a God, me knowing that I'm a king, that I come from royalty, I automatically look at you like you a God, a king that come from royalty. Or that's why I greeted you peace goddess.
Right.
No matter what you're going through and how you operating, because we see gods can fall and operate out of their lower selves sometimes. But if I keep reminding you who you are, just maybe, prayerfully, and hopefully, that's going to ignite something deep within your subconscious mind to make you change your fucking reality.
Do you? So
I will.
0511. Now step outside.